name is Srinivas. I'm working as assistant professor in IRE college. In last session, we have seen a few DBMS MCQs. Now we'll continue with the next set of questions in the MCQs. Okay, in the last session, we have seen up to 38 questions. And today we'll continue with the remaining rest of questions. I think we have around 25 more. Okay, we'll continue with our first question for the today is, which one of the following is used to define the structure of the relating relations and relating schemas? So here the question is about which language is responsible for the structure of the relation, deleting and relating schemas. Is it a data manipulation language? Is it a data definition language, or query or relation schema? We know that in the data definition language, we can create, we can drop, we can create, we can drop, we can create, we can alter, we can also rename. So the answer would be DDL, that is data definition language. That is 39th question answer. Okay. Next, create table employee name varchar. So he is creating a table called employee with having two columns, name as varchar field and ID as integer. What type of this? So here it is also creating a table. Means we are defining a table structure. So that is only possible by using the commands called DDL. So DDL is a command used to create a table or drop a table or alter a table. So we have to use the DDL, that is data definition language. Data definition language is a language used to create an objects or drop an objects or make changes to the existing structure of an object. So that is the DDL. So here the right answer would be the DDL. Next, 41 question. The basic type of char n is dash length character and char n is of dash length character. So here char and varchar are used in database for storing alphanumeric values. No, but here there is small difference between char and varchar. Now here char of n and varchar of n. Now what is the difference here? Is it a fixed or equal, or or variable, or fixed and variable? Okay, and variable and fixed. The right answer is the char n is of the same size. Suppose you declare of char 10, no, that means it is 10 is reserved for this thing. Even if you insert less than 10 also, it is going to take 10. Whereas the char n here is variable. You make it as 10 here, you make it as 10. Even if you don't use 10, suppose you use 5, only 5 will be there. The rest 5 will be released back to the OS. So varchar is a variable length character, whereas variable length character, whereas char n is fixed or equal. It is fixed or equal characters. So answer could be equal or variable or fixed or variable. So we'll go with the equal and variable. Okay, that is the answer for the 41st question. The 42nd question. Updates that violates or dissolve. So what is an update statement? The existing values you want to update. Suppose you think that suppose you got a marks as for 50 and you are gone for reevaluation or a recorrection or recounting, then you increase the marks. Then that you have to updating the marks. Now what is that marks? Updates that violates or disallowed. DDL constraints, integrity constraints, transaction controls, and authorization. Suppose you have one rule that your marks cannot be greater than 100 marks. Suppose you try to insert 110, you're going to update a marks to 110. That means it will not allow. That means that is an integrity violation. So integrity constraints are those constraints used to define certain rules and what is the maximum value, what is the minimum value. If you define the columns in some integrity constraints, you cannot violate it. You cannot violate that rules. If you violate that, the data will not be stored correctly. Next, 43rd question. To remove a relation from SQL database, to remove a relation, that means you have to drop a table. Then we have to use a drop command. It is not the delete. Means the delete is to remove the records from the database table. So delete fields is not also correct. Drop the right answer would be drop table. Drop table is a command used to drop an existing table from the table. Next, 44th question. insert into instructor values. Something I'll give some values. So it is an ID of 10211 is the name of the ID of the instructor. Then his name is Smith, and he is taking biology. And we don't know what is the 60,000. It might be a salary, something like that. What type of this? Then you're trying to insert a value into an existing column, existing table called instructor. So instructor is the table name. Instructor is the table name. You're trying to insert value. So it is the data manipulation language. In the data manipulation language, you can insert data, we can update data, you can delete the data. These are all the three possible values which we can do in the DML. So DML is only to insert or update or remove records from existing structure. So the structure must be already be available, and using these three commands. Those commands are DML. In DML, insert, update, and delete. With these three commands, you can manipulate the data. So the right answer would be number 4. Number B, 44. Answer is B. In the dash normal form, a composite attribute is converted to an individual attribute. So as a part of the normalization, we have a couple of forms, starting with first normal form, second normal form, three normal form. Then we have 3.5 or boys code norm form. So at every stage, we'll be making sure that our data is correctly distributed over multiple tables. In the first normal form, so what is going to happen is your those multi-valued attributes will be split, and each record will be inserted for each of the value. So in the first normal form, a composite attribute is converted to individual attributes. That means every row in that table will have an individual record. It will be act as a unique. The combination of the entire record will be unique. Okay, that is the first normal form. A table in the second normal form. So what does in the second normal form happens is that it eliminates all hidden dependencies. In the second normal form, we are going to eliminate all the hidden dependencies. That is taken care in the second normal form. In the second normal form, we are going to eliminate all hidden dependencies. Okay. 47th question. What is a valid SQL type? What is a valid SQL type? Character. Char is a valid type. Then we have numeric. Then we have float. We also see these are the data types. So what is the data type? It will tell you what type of data should be used to insert data. Suppose you want to insert only integers, then you can go for new integer value. If you want to go for some decimals, you can go float or numeric. If you want to enter only alphanumeric or all characters, you have to use the char field. The other data types could be varchar. Then we have nvarchar. And when we have int, big int, tiny int, small int. So these are very data. Then we also have date time data type. These are the various possible data types. So what is the purpose? By seeing the data type, we know what type of data we should be able to insert. So when I say that my roll number is integer, then I will know that okay, these integer field, so I will not be able to enter any alphanumeric characters. So that is the right answer is all of the above, because character is a valid data type, numeric is also a valid data type, float is also a valid, and also all of these things. What is the full form of DDL? So we know that the full form of DDL is data definition language. So DDL is also known as data definition language. It is not data derivation language or detailed data language, nor dynamic data language. So the right answer would be it is it is the data definition language is called the DDL. Is called the DDL. Okay. Next we will see the which of the following statements contain an error. So there are 4 statements here. And out of this, there is a statement which is giving us which will give us an error. So we'll see each one of them. Select a star from employee where EMP ID is equal to some ID. So this is a valid statement because it has a select statement. It has a from clause. It has a where clause. So first one is also valid. Second thing, so select EMP ID from EMP where EMP. So this is also valid because instead of star, he is saying that I need only employee details, employee ID. So this is also a valid statement. What is the third? Select EMP ID from EMP. This is also valid because there is no where clause. So he is going to get all the records. Now we'll see the last statement. Select EMP ID from, there is no from here. Select EMP ID where EMP ID is equal to this and last name is equal to this. Here, if we execute this, see what is going to happen. Where is the from clause? See, we are missing the from clause. So, a SQL statement will not exist without a from statement. So, this is the wrong answer. So, this is the wrong statement. So, here when you have to choose the right answer, we have to we have to choose the D as a, because there is no from statement is missing. From statement is missing in the 49th question. So that is the, so we have, so the right answer would be the 49th answer, right? D. Next, the command to remove rows from a table is, what is the command to remove a rows? So we know that to remove rows we can use truncate or delete. You can use truncate or delete. Okay, truncate removes all the rows. Truncate removes all the rows. Delete, if you use a where clause, it is going to delete the condition satisfied in the where clause. If you don't give the where clause, every data is going to be deleted. So this is the 2 conditions here: truncate and delete. No. What are the commands we have to in the given options here to remove from customer? So remove is not a keyword in DBMS. So first answer is ruled out. Drop from customer. It is not a valid statement. Drop from customer is not a valid command. So delete from customer where? Okay, now here they are saying that they have not given the what is a where clause, but it is the delete from customer is a valid record. Update from customer, it is not an update. And also, the update statement is update table name, set a column value equal to new value. But here it is update from. So the right answer would be to delete rows from customer. To delete rows from customer will be the right answer. 51 question. Consider a money is transferred from account A to account B. So here the question is the money is being transferred in 2 phases. In the first phase, they are saying account A to account B, and after that account B to account A. So now which of the following is a transaction? Now, what is a transaction? A series of steps performed, and if the transaction is successful, then you will see the output. If something, you'll see the new records. If something goes wrong in between, then it is rolled back. That means it remains as it is. Now what is that here? The money is being transferred from one account to another account, and the second transaction is account. It is being done. Now, which of the following is a transaction? So only one is a transaction. B is a transaction, only one or only 2, or both 1 and 2 individually, or either one of 2. So here there are 2 transactions here. Account A to account B. This is the first. Account B to A. So there are 2 transactions here. So both of them are in transaction. So the right answer would be both 1 and 2 individually. Next, a transaction is delimited by statements or functions called as a form. So how do we define a transaction? We define it in begin transaction, and end transaction. Begin and end transaction. In between, we write our sequence of steps here. So it transfers in DBMS. Your transaction is going to start with the begin transaction, and it is going to end with the end transaction. So this is the. So now what is the right answer? It is begin transaction and end transaction. It is not start and stop transaction, get to transaction and post transaction, read transaction, write transaction. So these are all invalid. Only the right answer would be begin and end transactions. So begin and end transactions. Okay, this is our 51st question answer. Next, 52 questions. We have seen 52 questions also, right? Now identify the characteristics of a transaction. So what are the characteristics of the transaction? It has to satisfy acid properties. Yeah. What is acid? ACID. It has to satisfy atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. If your sequence of steps is satisfying all these conditions, then it is a transaction. So these are all the part of the transactions. Those are acid properties. So atomicity is one property, isolation is one property, durability is one property, and there is one thing missing here, that is consistency. So these are the four properties or characteristics of an transaction. Okay, a database is generally it is durability, it is isolation, and all of them mentioned. It is atomicity. When you talk about the normalization, see it is. When you talk about the normalization, we have discussed the term atomicity. It means every record is a unique record. So so your database is a atomicity. Okay, your database is an atomicity. Okay. 50th question. The database systems must take special action to ensure that transactions operate properly without interference from concurrently executing database statements. So when you have a database, there will be multiple persons working on the database. Not only one user will be working. There will be multi users working on this database. Every user will have an instance of the database. What is an instance? A copy of the database will be given to us. So that is the instance. Now here the question is, when there are multiple executing statements, what property has to be attained? That is isolation. So isolation means you will be given a copy of the database. It will act as an independent. Now this is act as independent. After you finish your transaction, then this record will be updated. And just all can see the new records. So when you are doing a particular record, you're trying to make changes, then the record is locked so that others cannot see that record. They can see only the read only. Only after you make your changes done, then the record is committed, and then the new value is seen by other persons. The property of a transaction that persists all the crash. So what is the property of that transaction that persists all the crash? It is the durability. So durability is the terms of how stable is your thing. Okay, durability is the right answer here. It is not atomicity. Atomicity is like to maintain a record unique. That is, each record will be unique by itself. So it is not atomicity, and we know that isolation is you will have a separate copy of the database once. So that is answer. So the answer is here the durability. Okay. Now we discussed in the acid properties atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. So here there's something called as consistency also. Now what is that state that say only valid data will be written to the database? What is that state which says that only valid data should be written to the database? That is the consistency. So the consistency is that the property. Other than it is only valid data should be written. So if something goes wrong in between, it will be rolled back and your record remains the same. So the right answer would be the consistency. Now dash means that the data is dash means that the data used during the execution transaction cannot be used by second transaction until the first one is completed. So I said that See, when you are working on a database, you'll be given a copy of that. So when you are working on a particular record update, nobody else can do it. So your table is locked, or again the loss could be at table level or at row level. So when you are working on some transaction, others cannot use the same record. So that is the in isolation is the property which isolates your data from others. So isolation is one property. One property. Okay. Now we will see the next question. 59th question. Which character function can be used to return a specified portion of a character string? So out of a given string, if you want to get a part of string, then we have to use a substring functions. So suppose if it is at starting or ending, we can use left and right functions. But it is in between, if you want to get the position, then we have to use the substring function. So substring function is a string command used to retrieve a part of a string. And here the answers are in instr, string, substring, substr, and pos. So based on your vendor, the answer would be substring or substr. I think in Oracle it is substr, but whereas in SQL Server it is substring. So substring is a property. Is not a property. It is a string function used to get get some portion of a string. So that is the substring property. Next, what are the different events in triggers? So what are triggers? Triggers are something. It is invoked by default. So you cannot invoke a trigger, but it is invoked by an action. So what are the actions could be? Insert, update, delete. So when you perform an insert or an update or delete, when you suppose you're written a trigger code, at that moment your triggers are going to fire. So again that triggers could be of two types. It could be after trigger or after or before trigger. So before insert, if you want to do something, then it is before trigger. Like if you want to do after insert, then it is the after trigger. So we have two types of things. Again, they are DDL triggers and then DML triggers. But basically, triggers are something they are associated with an action. So you cannot write like you call a procedure. You cannot call a stored procedure. You cannot call it trigger. So trigger can be only invoked when you perform an action. That action can be an insert action or a delete or update actions. So for example, so you say that you have updated the marks of student to 39. Suppose your pass mark is 40. Suppose now you can write a trigger when your marks are between 38 to 39. You can make it directly 40. That is, after you update the record to 39, immediately this trigger is going to fire. So here, so what is the logic written here? If the student is between 38 to 39, you make it 40. So he'll pass. So that means you're giving him some grace marks. So you're giving him some grace marks. So this is the rule. This is a trigger is like also an executable piece of code written and it is invoked on an action. It is invoked only on action. It is invoked only on action. Next, 61st question. Which of the following subset of an SQL command used to manipulate Oracle or SQL or any database structures, including tables? So, what is that thing which manipulates structures? That means it is a DDL, that is data definition language. We have seen earlier also. Data definition language is some set of commands used in the database to create or alter or drop in existing tables. Okay. No. Let us get once again at a higher level. So SQL commands are created as DDL. Then we have data definition language. Then we have data control language. Then we have TCL, and we also have and DQL. So in the DQL we have only one statement, that is select statement. That is the select statement is the one command. In the TCL we have grant and revoke. Okay, okay, not grant revoke. In the DCL we have grant and revoke. Here we have in the DCL we have commit, rollback, and save point. In the DML, we have data manipulation language. We have insert, update, and delete. And in the DDL, we have create table or alter table or drop table. So these are the at a high level. These are the following. These are the following things. Now, okay, which of the following command is used to modify existing data in a table? So, when you want to modify an existing table, we have to use an update command. We have to use the update command. Update command is used to modify an existing value in the database. So, what is the command would be update table name, update table. Suppose the table name is EMP. I want to set what that is set department is equal to some new value where for employee where employee is equal to 10. If I don't give the where clause, every employee in the table will be updated to 10. But here I'm saying for update employee is equal to 10, you make it for update employee, you make it as 10. So your answer, so update is a command used to modify the data in the record. Not suppose you want to update the structure, then you have to go for alter. For updating the structure of the table, you have to go for alter. Again, this alter is of three types. So we can alter a table to adding a new column, or changing the existing column. For example, you initially made it as bracket 10. Now you want to make 25. Then that means you can alter existing column, and you can also drop an existing column. From a database table. Suppose you think that your table is no longer required. Table is no longer required. You can just drop the column. So alter, again it is of alter is for structure. Update is for only for the to update a particular piece of record in the database. Now, which provides option for entering SQL queries as execution time rather than Generally, SQL is that you write some query and you hit the database, you're going to get the query. So that is generally it. But there's something called as dynamic SQL. That means dynamic SQL is that you pass the values at the runtime. So when you pass something at the runtime, so so based on parameters, you'll frame your query. You'll frame your query as some means you'll write some statement like select star from EMP. Okay, this you write it to a text to a SQL called as you declare a variable. So I'll declare a variable SQL varchar of 100. Then I'll say SQL is equal to select single quotes select star from EMP. Then now I'll say execute at the SQL. Now this is executed as a dynamic. So in the dynamic means you can alter the you can change the values at the runtime. So that is the dynamic SQL. A transaction is said to be a part of unit programming. A transaction is said to be a part of programs. Is it evaluation? No, it is not. It is not the computation, not controlling. It is the execution. So a transaction is said to be a unit of programs execution. Programs execution is the right answer. The term atomicity, the term stating that all the operations for transaction to be displayed or a database or none at all is known as the atomicity. So atomicity is the term stating that all the operations of a transaction to be displayed at the database or none at all is known to be as atomicity. Okay, the forming a single logical unit of task from collection of routine operation is called as performing or I think it is performing or forming a unique, a single logical unit of task from a collection of routine operation is called a transaction. The transaction is a series of steps performed so that your database state changes from A to B. If something goes in wrong in between, you will be rolled back, and your database remains the same as it was before. That means nothing has changed. That is the transactions. A term saying that no to two transactions to be executed concurrently is referred as. What is the term when it says that no two transactions can be executed concurrently? It is isolation. So isolation is a property, but which means that no two transaction on the same record can be performed. You can perform two transactions on two different records, but you cannot perform the same transaction on the same record at the same time. So when you are doing, then you have to wait after the first person has released the lock. Only you will be getting the control. You will be getting the control. A trigger on a table that enables specific action for exactly one timing point is called a simple trigger. See, a trigger is on a table that enables specific actions for exactly one timing. So we said that the triggers are something, a executable piece of code which is invoked on some actions. So actions are insert, update. These are the DML triggers. The insert, update, or delete. We also have the DDL triggers, and those are when you create database, create, alter, or drop. These are also everything here. It cannot be invoked. It has to be only. It can be only called when you perform an action. When you only perform some action only, you are going to get this data. What is an SDL? So this is something related to your storage. So we know that SQL. So don't be confused between SQL. SQL is SDL. So in the database, they'll be asking you what is the difference between SQL and SDL. So we have to say SQL is a structured query language used to talk to the database. Okay, whereas SDL is storage definition language. It is something related to the storage of your data, and it is comes in under in the storage definition language here. And also, if you go in details, then we have something as volatile memory, non-volatile memory. Okay, that is the storage definition language. The metadata that about the relation is stored. See, when is a data dictionary. So let us give the what is data dictionary. It is a metadata. So your data about data is a metadata. See, okay. Now see, you have created a table called as some EMP having EMP name, roll number, and etc. Now this information is created in a database. Suppose your database is called as IARE. In that database, this is table. Now whatever you create on this database will be also stored in the master databases. In the master, now everything is being stored. Now the information about this entire table can be fetched from the metadata. So metadata is a collection of all the objects in the database. You have about 10 databases, 10 tables. Every information is stored in the master database. So that is the metadata is like a dictionary. It will hold all the whatever database, whatever you have in the thing will be stored in the metadata. So metadata is also called as a data dictionary. Data dictionary, it is not a file header, it is not a data query, it is not a data analyzer. So metadata is, what is metadata? It is information of the database. Information about the database is a data dictionary. Now that data dictionary, I said that will be stored in the master database. So if it's stored in the matter, where it is stored is called a system catalog. This is called a system catalog. A system catalog will hold will hold the system catalog is going to hold system database is going to hold all of your data. For example, you will have something called as sys objects. Sys objects is a master table containing all information for everything. It contains tables, views, functions, procedures. Everything will be stored there. Then we also have something like sys dot keys, and sys dot indexes, sys dot uh, sys dot views, so sys dot tables. So there will be many tables. So you even when you're given a blank, you're given a DBTU. Suppose you have to get information about these particular tables, how these tables are related. You don't need to open. You don't need to open each and every table. You don't need to open every one table and see what is happening. What is happening there? What is happening there? You just have to go to the system table and you have to provide the database name. Then using various table of sys objects, you'll get the entire objects. The system of objects, the columns would be the ID of the column, the name of the column, and what is its type. Here something called as X type or type. The type there will be, for table it will be U, for the view it will be W, for store procedure it will be P, for trigger it will be TR, and for for function it will be function it will be F1, I think. And like this, like every whatever things you have on a table, on database, it could be anything that is stored in the system database, master database, and by using the data dictionary, you can get the properties of those. You can get the properties of the. You can get the properties of the metadata, the data. It's stored. Now, which of the following needs to be stored in the relation? So I said that any operation you do, anything you do in database is stored. So it is, even you create, drop, alter, whatever you do, everything is stored. Everything is stored. Everything is stored in the data dictionary. So it is storing the name of the relation, the domain and the length of the attributes, the integrity constants, all are mentioned. So data dictionary is going to store every information of your database. So which of the following terms which of the following terms refers to the correctness and completion of the data in a database? So here the two keywords are the corrections and the completeness of the data in the database. So it have to be data integrity. So data integrity is that it is saying that my data is integrated, it is in a good firm stable state. So that property which is going to tell us is the correctness and completion of the table is called as data integrity. Okay, last two questions. A relation between a department and employee is, see, a department and employee. So a department can have many employees. An employee can be working in one department. Generally, an employee will be working as a master department. He might be working in as a part time in other department. But an employee is going to belong to a department. So a department can have many employees. So it is the relation between a department and employee is one to many relation. So the relation between department employee is one to many relation. And the last, a table can be logically connected by other table by. See, how can a table can be in the RDMS or something? It is the relationship between two tables. So how can they be related? Only if they have a primary key and foreign key. So if you have I have a master table. For example, student table is a master here. So having student ID, student name, okay, student name and his branch. This is a master table. This is a master. And how do I refer the primary key as underscore? Underscore is a. Now, if you see the entity diagram, this is a master table. I can have n number of child tables. N number of child tables. For example, I have a library table. I have a marks table. In the library, I'm going to what is going to have? I'll have student ID as a foreign key, and I'll have the books taken by this person. Library book issued on issued on unwritten on unwritten back. And I also can have marks like in the first semester in the subject DBMS, you scored this many marks. The second semester in the question in the subject called in the third semester in Python, you have taken this answer. So this is the main table. They are the child tables. Only we can have some relation only when there is some relation between these tables. In here the relation would be the student ID. The student ID is a primary key here. It is a foreign key to other tables. Okay. By this we complete the DBMS MCQ 4. The next session we'll see if there are any more questions which we can discuss in the MCQs. Thank you. Have a good day.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.